Yeah, what's that? Nice.
Thank
She
you.
said we shouldn't be doing anything. Very volunteers. Long agenda, but everything I read, it looks like this is not a big deal. Apparently, everything has to go on there. Kristen was saying there's more things have to go on here than ever did before. Something changed, and everything has to get voted on. Public comment is what it is. They don't be here till 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Wow, says he could say it's not what should be able to do. One here.
Okay.
You could do that. I'd be thrilled. Well, that's a problem. When I was trying to get the zoning done for 5 Oaks, I just made my comments and I said, everybody agrees, stand up. And everybody stood up. Like, okay, so you don't need to say it 100 times.
Right,
But you get the point.
right.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, time for night city council meeting. I will call the meeting to order. I ask Lee Clark to lead the invocation.
Let's pray. Our dear, most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Just thank you for the cooler temperatures that we're having. I just ask you to be with the Gibbs family, the loss of David this week. And dear Lord, just be with this council as we conduct business of the city, that what we do will be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jerry Ashley. Here. Camille Burton.
Here.
Chris Crowell.
Here.
Tick Bryan.
Here.
Phil Moorhead.
Here.
Mayor Bell, you have a quorum.
We also have the minutes from the August 4th city council meeting.
Motion approved.
By Council Moorhead, second by Council Carmack. Any discussion on those minutes? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now it's time for communication from citizens. So if anyone would like to speak tonight, now is the opportunity to do that. If you'd like to speak, please step to the podium and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. There's a light system up there that will help you with a countdown of your time. There are some things I do ask, though. I do ask that people do not line up at the podium. If there's a speaker up there, just wait till they sit down, and then whoever wants to go next, go next. I know there's some people in the lobby as well, so if they want an opportunity to speak, they will have the opportunity to. We have officers out there who will help get them in the room to do that. We also ask that you treat every speaker with respect, no booing, no applause, and those types of things. But and also you get one chance to speak too as well. So if anyone would like to speak, now's your time, and please just step to the podium and state your name and address.
Mark Coble, 1695 Horn Springs Road. Y'all were elected to serve the best interests of all of your Lebanon residents. A committee was tasked and proposed potential sites for a sewage treatment plant, and somehow you overlooked the current site. Who already decided what kind of facility was to be built? How was that determined? What criteria was driving the decision? Was the newer technology plant, like the Jones Creek treatment plant, even toured like the Rutherford County facility? Today, I went to Smyrna, I went to Murfreesboro, and I drove around those plants, and I spoke with the residents who live around it in all directions, and every one of them can smell their plant. Technology exists today that would allow a moving bed biofilm reactor, MBBR, sewage treatment plant to be built on the current land that our sewage plant already sits on. These type treatment plants are working today. They've been recognized for partnering with their communities. The Johns Creek Environmental Campus and the Bear Creek Sewage Treatment Facility are both located in Fulton County, Georgia. Look them up. They are completely different than what is being proposed. See the difference. I know this information and this technology was presented to Mayor Bell on July 6th in a face-to-face meeting. What was done with the information? Is it a secret? Who has the responsibility to address our community, us, and explain to all of us as to why we settled on or are only considering one type of facility? The Horn Springs Oreo Drive, site number 7, is an absolutely idiotic location. To put a city sewer plant in the county, which is zoned rural residential, it's not industrial. This is preposterous. This community is one of the most beautiful and desirable in Lebanon. This is why we all live there. A sewage plant will ruin one of the most pristine country living areas in Wilson County. For many years, this council has approved housing, townhomes, apartment developments, knowing that our infrastructure was not keeping up with where we were going with expansion. Where's the information in the background on what you are and are not proposing for a new sewer plant? How do we even know what it is you're looking for? How did you determine what is best for all Lebanon residents in the city as well as the county? It's time for you to step up, serve your community, make a decision that does not divide us between neighborhoods, and it serves us all. Thank you.
This is a city council meeting. No applause. Thank you. Who's next?
Luke Willoughby, 1229 Ben Forkum Drive. That's in the reserve of Horn Springs subdivision. And I've been asked to speak on behalf of our neighborhood. And like the former individual, we'd like for you to remove this Site 7 from your consideration. Now, let's be honest. I think most people here, no one really wants a sewer plant in their backyard. In terms of the impact it's going to have on infrastructure strain, the quality of life, traffic, and the long-term impact to surrounding communities, I think no matter where you put it should be a concern. But also, like so many that you've heard, is that Site 7, unless I can be told differently, is not directly in the city of Lebanon. So my request to you is not, we just don't want this in our backyard. It's whose problem are we trying to solve and where the solution should be. I would ask that you consider what your mayor said months ago of looking at the current site and doing every single thing you can to show why it can't be there. The fact of the matter is, by moving the problem of the city to the county, not only is not fair right now, but it also sets up a slippery slope of future problems that the city is going to have. And it's for those reasons we ask you remove Site 7 from your consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
First of all, I want to thank you all. Take the time to listen to us. My name is Stephanie Watkins, and I live on Orville Drive. My property backs up to the site on Horn Springs, Orville Drive. We have lived there for 28 years. We bought this land because we wanted to live in a country setting and not in the city. We raised our children, our grandchildren, and a great-grandchild. When these kids say they are coming home, they mean to come to our house. Our family and friends love to come to our house to get away from the hustle and bustle of city life. They just want to relax. We do not want to be a part of the city. When we first moved here, a neighbor had a small get-together. And during this meeting, she stated how our area was like a small slice of heaven. I totally agreed with her. It is very peaceful. Not only do we have wonderful neighbors, but we have a lot of wildlife. When you come into the neighborhood, the temperature drops 5 to 10 degrees due to all the trees. This is our sanctuary, not just the people, but the birds and all the animals. Just a couple of weeks ago, a new neighbor from Horn Springs made the exact same statement to me from 28 years ago. We have a little slice of heaven here. Now the city comes along and wants to put a sewer treatment plant in our backyard. And if this happens for the rest of my life, I will see, hear, and smell poop 24/7 since a treatment plant runs all day and night. Trees will be bulldozed down and burned, replaced with concrete. This will no longer be a slice of heaven, but a concrete poop hell. Horn Springs cannot handle the traffic that this plant will create. It is very curvy, lots of hills, very little shoulder room. Right now, mailboxes get knocked down. People drive down the center of the road and cannot navigate the curbs. Someone will end up losing their life with the trucks coming in and out of here. No one wants this plant here. We all bought in this area to be in the country and to raise our families. Our home and land is our retirement. This plant will decrease our property value. When I sat at the last meeting, I kept hearing about new technology. One person asked the committee to look at what these larger cities do, like Chicago with the new technology. This is a city issue and should remain in the city across from the current plant. A new plant can be built, then when completed, refurbish the old plant and both sites can be used. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name's Scott Kitchen. I live at 432 Huntington Drive in Farmington Woods. I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I'm not opposed to solving the problem that we have with our wastewater treatment plant. Our community is growing and our wastewater infrastructure must grow with it. I understand that completely. I also understand that the city has a legitimate reason to begin planning now because the existing system has exceeded its capacity and we're under pressure to have that problem resolved. I support moving forward. My concern is not whether we should plan. My concern is whether we're asking the questions in the right order. The city is currently evaluating sites for a future wastewater treatment facility, but before deciding where the facility should go, I believe we should first determine what wastewater solution Lebanon needs for the next 50 years. That was the charter that you set out for, was something that would solve this problem long term. If I want to build a house that requires a septic system, I don't go, and it doesn't do me any good to go out and find all the potential sites if I don't know that I will need it to perk for a 5-bedroom house if I haven't said that up front. If we haven't set the expectation, how do we truly evaluate the sites? According to the city's own planning, the system could ultimately expand from 10 million gallons per day to as much as 40 million gallons in the future. This means that this is not simply a real estate decision. This is a decision that will shape Lebanon's wastewater infrastructure for generations. Before selecting a site, citizens should understand some basic questions. What treatment technology are we considering? What are the projected flows over the next 10, 20, and 50 years? What are the discharge requirements? How much land is actually required for the proposed technology? What are the capital costs, operating costs, and long-term life cycles for these sites? What collection system improvements, pump stations, and force mains will be required? It's not just a here and now, it's for the future. These are the factors that should determine whether a site is truly suitable. I also believe that transparency is essential. Citizens should be able to see the alternatives that are evaluated, the engineering assumptions behind them, the projections, the costs, the environmental impacts, and the criteria used to compare potential sites. Having someone just come up and say, let's remove a site, does not make sense for the long-term future of our community. Our selection committee was unable to include many important factors in their selection process. Their charter was merely to determine if the property owner was willing to sell. What about those sites where the property owner isn't willing to sell? What if it requires eminent domain for the best possible solution for our community for the next 50 years? Shouldn't that be considered as well? Transparency is not just about agreeing with every decision. It's about allowing citizens to understand how the decision was reached and evaluate the facts for themselves. I'm not asking for the city to stop. I'm asking for the city to strengthen the process before an irreversible decision is made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have one really simple comment to make.
Oh.
And my name is Linda Stanbro. I live at 713 Farmington Drive in Farmington Woods
Thank you.
off of Carver. And there's 2 locations that are on Carver that we are concerned about. And my simple thing is, we are a neighborhood. That whole area around there is full of houses and neighborhoods, and it is no place to put an industrial water treatment plant. You know, we have yards, we have trees, and it's just the wrong place to be putting it. So there has to be an option to put it somewhere else. There's a lot of people who showed up here today because I don't think anybody here probably wants it in their neighborhood either. And I would encourage all of you to just stand up. If you say anything else, every one of you get up and just say, no, I don't want it in my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Kelly Stoddard, 109 Springfield Drive, Farmington. Number one, I agree with everyone. We understand that this is a necessity. I think what we're asking for, number one, is full transparency, because I don't think anybody here believes that we've seen or heard it from this council or from the minutes or the meetings. Seem to be a lot of backdoor politicking, just to make it plain and simple. And I don't think when it comes to a project this size that that's acceptable within the city. Number two, 8 months ago, you stood here, we stood here, and we fought for neighborhoods, and you approved neighborhoods. And now you're telling us that doesn't matter because we're going to take this same land and we're going to turn it into a wastewater treatment plant. That's mine. But I also, Rachel could not be here this evening, and I'm going to read this. This is from Rachel Deffendahl, who lives on Huntington, and I'm sorry, I don't know her exact address. I understand Lebanon's tremendous growth requires additional capacity. I'm not opposed to a new plant, but I'm concerned about where we put it. As healthcare providers, we believe public health should be the highest weighted criteria. The health concerns are supported by a ton of research, and she lists them here, and she had intended to hand this out to the council. 2016 peer-reviewed 235 residents living within approximately 0.3 miles of a wastewater treatment plant. Researchers found significant symptoms and headaches, tiredness, difficulty concentrating, gastrointestinal symptoms, and detected potentially pathogenic airborne microorganisms. 2024 study of the total environment measured wastewater bioaerosols at approximately 978 to 3,710 colony-forming units per cubic meter, found that these pathogenic bacteria found that wind speed and humidity significantly influence the bioaerosol concentrations. These absolutely establish a reason to ask, why would we intentionally place one close to largely populated residential areas without first conducting an independent health assessment? Wind does matter. Even an enclosed plant does not guarantee equipment failure, maintenance outages, power outages, and ventilation will never occur. Having children, older residents, and adults even with asthma, COPD, cancer, and immune-compromised disorders, these serious conditions must be considered as vulnerable populations. How many homes within that quarter mile or half mile, and how many are downwind? Why aren't we following protections similar to Davidson County? Davidson County requires a wastewater treatment facility to remain at least 1,000 feet or 0.19 miles from any residential property line, not from a house, from a residential property line. Why is Lebanon not following similar protections of their residents? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, my name's Hope Huffmeyer, 312 Carver Lane. I'm about 30 seconds drive to the entrance at Site 13 that you're now considering as a location for the sewage treatment plant. You've got 1,000 residents within probably a third of a mile. I agree with just about everyone. No one wants it in your backyard, but putting it in an area where you already have 1,000 or plus residents within that close of a proximity is, I don't think we should even be in that realm of a consideration in the first place. So many other locations that would be available or that maybe you could even pursue outside of the ones I've heard other people to speak of already, to keep it, especially with some of the health hazards potentially that would affect residents that already live there. They can't close their doors and shut off any of those possible, health situations, but they're there. I mean, I could walk to this front gate. I'm not sure where on that property, the location of the treatment plant is going to be, but just the project itself to build, whatever you're going to do to, with all the traffic that's going to be there, just in the building process, we've got a condition that already exists that's going to be there, and there's nothing we can do with the residents. They live there permanently. It's not like, they can stay in a hotel for the rest of their life and hope that they can sell the property, which is going to be the value in the first place. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Jones. I live at 337 Ellis Lane in the Carver Creek community. We are right next to Site 13. I walk my dogs directly to the property line. I just want to make sure that people are aware that there is an issue with the floodplain at the back of many of my neighbors' homes on Subin. And I can't use part of my land because it's in a protected wetland. So the county has come in, or the city has come in and put a fence between myself and the stream or the creek that makes up Carver Creek. So there's part of my property I'm not allowed to touch, and it is within very short walking distance. The floodplain concerns me. And it also concerns me that none of the information has been essentially shared with our communities, being completely downwind, down the floodplain. I want to make sure that in the future, the city council members and our representatives are explaining to members essentially what could happen or what is the potential to happen. We shouldn't have gotten to this point where you have this many people in your city council meeting when we are so close to a decision that I understand would be made by the end of next month. I do not think that we are ready, and this is really concerning as just a member of the community. I've only been here for 2.5 years. Our community is not even fully complete. We haven't handed over our HOA, has not been handed over to us because my understanding is that the city of Lebanon actually has some trouble with our builder. So if you are concerned about things in our neighborhood, about the things that don't match your codes, I'm concerned about why you would want to put a site so close to something that concerns you enough that you're not allowing our builder to release the properties to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat Nollner, 2968 Horn Springs Road. I got to back you up on that. At 2968 Horn Springs Road, I back up to the wonderful David Weekly establishment, which is part of Five Oaks. They've done the same thing, and planning's had to do the same thing. They've had to put an OV on them. That's a notice of violation. They've got a list of 6 or 7 things, including the property that joins mine. They've done very little in my eyes. I'm a pipe fitter welder by trade. I'm retired, thank you, Jesus. But this was my line of business. I've seen what good work is and what bad work is. But all up and down Horn Springs Road, you've got this entire neighborhood, which is going to be on the curve where you want to come out with on that Site 7. I nearly got hit by one of the Thorn trucks one time right there. I had to go in that little 7A. It wasn't fun. But gentlemen, that place was I never bought 16 acres to be in a tight neighborhood, to be in an industrial zone. I worked construction. Lord knows I didn't want to be there. I want to be in the countryside with my horses and my kids. And hopefully my kids can do the same thing with that property. But no, I'm still listening to dynamite, newer neighborhoods coming around. I'm just thankful we don't have apartments on that side yet. But my biggest, I guess, directive for everybody here. We've already seen what the old system did or did not do. 60 years wasn't enough. It's not even adaptable to make improvements to at this point without just really redoing the whole thing. You've already heard everybody else. They spoke very eloquently about this. A new modern system is what we need. That's the only thing we need. We're talking about our future, what's best for this town, and what's going to make us look better in Middle Tennessee, not just compared to Murfreesboro or anybody else. They didn't do all that great. They're still stinking up. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Teresa Larkins. I live at 416 Huntington Drive in Farmington Woods. And I did not come prepared to speak tonight. I don't like to speak in front of people, but somebody begged me to come up here. And the thing, let me make sure this, okay, wait, I've lost it. And he handed me, okay, here it is. And he wants to know if the city is prepared to compensate homeowners for the decreased value of their homes. Over 200 homes in Farmington Woods, plus Carver Creek and Maple Hill. If putting a sewer treatment plant near our homes is going to devalue them, then, you know, is the city prepared to do anything about that? And also, if our homes are devalued, that's going to be a loss of revenue for property taxes for the city. I, as I said, I didn't come prepared to speak, so I don't know numbers on any of that. Personally, my big concern has just been that it doesn't seem like the city has done its due diligence in performing all these studies as far as air quality, health risk, all those sorts of things, environmental concerns. So anyway, that's, you know, those are just some of the things. I just, you know, if I could get a 100% guarantee that it was going to go in, it wouldn't look ugly and wouldn't stink, and I wouldn't have to smell it all the time, I'd be fine with putting it anywhere. But we don't have that. And I don't know, I just feel like it just hasn't been researched enough. I know there's been some hurry about a deadline for getting some money, but you're talking about the numbers I've seen were in the millions, tens of millions of dollars. And so a small amount of federal aid or whatever that's coming in for that. I'm really not knowledgeable to speak on all this stuff. But anyway, I just think that the city needs to do its due diligence and check all these things before selecting a site. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Debbie Purefoy. I'm at 710 Scarlet Place. I live in Plantation South, and I'm not a speaker, so I wrote out my comments. So I'm just going to read it to you guys because I'm not used to being able to do this. So, but I would just say that I agree with what a lot of people have said. I don't think we're ready yet to make a decision on this because I think it affects a lot of people. And in my opinion, I think that you guys, as our governing committee, should be more aware of the good of the community, because I know that that's what, I mean, I get that that's probably what you guys, you know, that is the underlying thing that you guys strive for, is the good of Lebanon. But I want to just say a few things. I want to make clear, I understand that Lebanon needs additional wastewater capacity. I'm not opposed to the sewer project. I am opposed to putting this facility next to an established residential neighborhood when there are other viable locations, including an industrial location. I am asking you tonight to look beyond the initial construction price and consider the full long-term cost of the decision. Your own wastewater treatment plant site selection committee was established to evaluate sites based on objective criteria, including community impact, environmental impact, infrastructure, service efficiency, construction cost, and long-term service requirements. So I ask you, how can the community impact of putting a wastewater treatment plant next to people's homes be adequately accounted for simply because there is less rock to drill through or it is less expensive? The city may save money on construction if you do it in a residential neighborhood, but who pays the other cost? The homeowners do. And we are homeowners who really don't want our property to be devalued. We are the people who may have to live with the odor, the traffic, the visual impact, the loss of the character of our neighborhood, and potentially a reduction in our property values. Our homes are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. For most families, their home is their greatest financial investment. And for a lot of people, that is their retirement and that is what they have. And I don't think it is fair for the city to save money on the construction of a public facility while individual homeowners absorb the long-term financial consequences of that decision. I also want to address the argument that modern wastewater plants control odor. I sincerely do hope that is true, but controlling odor is not the same as having no odor. And with the residential areas as close as they are, I was just thinking this afternoon whenever I walked out in this beautiful weather, what if I'm dealing with, in a few months to come, what if I'm dealing with, yes, I'm sorry, time's up. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Anyone else?
Hello, Spencer Jackson, 274 Subin Court in Carver Creek. My wife and I relocated our family here to Lebanon because of the family values and the family environment that this city is clearly all about, namely such as Don Fox, Jimmy Floyd, the library programs, the school district, just to name a few. I feel like putting this wastewater treatment in any residential area that's going to impact the health of families and devalue their long-term property investments is not that family-first environment that we signed up for when we came to Lebanon, when we were deciding where we wanted to raise our family. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Chris Plant. I live at 301 Persimmon Way in Hawks Landing. A similar situation, we came to Lebanon because of the values here. We came here to retire, and we bought property that's close to Site 13. So we're just off of Carver. So this was not in our plans. I think I agree with a lot of comments tonight. One of my frustrations has been trying to find information about what sites were considered dismissed. Was a site that's right next to the sewage treatment plant just north of it, even in consideration since it's right there. I'd like to be able to see more information about it. And I was unable to find anything on the Lebanon website, any meeting minutes or any maps or anything like that. So one thing I'd ask for is some transparency on the decisions that are going to be made. So we can see the what and wherefores. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bobby Sturgeon, 327 Ellis Lane. We're in Carver Creek also. Just, you guys wouldn't want this butted up to your property, and we just don't either. I think that that's all we're asking for is just don't put it in a residential area. We all know it needs to get done, and I think we just want more work, more time, more effort to try and come up with a solution that works for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hershey, 2598 Horn Springs Road, not 2698. First of all, I really want to thank all the counselors. You all have been very attentive to the comments from the citizenry here, and it really speaks volumes, I think, to the quality of the community that we have, is that you're interested in hearing the feedback. We've all seen YouTubes of various community meetings where people are not. So first, thank you for that. I'm here to stand in opposition to the Oriole site, Site 7, so we'll get that out of the way right now. And I've spoken here and at planning meetings in the past. Many of y'all know me. And there's a recurring theme, and I really want to ring this bell again, and that is you have a long-term growth plan, right? You approve it every 5 or 10 years. I forget how frequent it is. You lay out what each area of the community should be from what the vision is. And yet here we are departing from that yet again. And I would ask, what has changed? Well, we know we need a sewer plant. We know that's changed. But why are the areas being reconsidered and repurposed from what the original plan is. That's why you have a plan. You got community input on that plan. So I would ask you to go back to this guide stone, this touchstone of having a long-term plan, and put an industrial piece of equipment, a sewage treatment plant, in an industrial zoned area. That just seems common sense to me. I will piggyback on many of the comments that were shared earlier regarding the importance of transparency. I know that there's some federal money at play where there's a clock on that, but from everything I'm hearing, and again, the data's been very vague, you picking up news stories, but if this thing's going to cost $30-40 million, a few $100,000 or $1 million from the federal government's not going to swing it one way or the other versus making a better decision. What's not clear, and I think from all the discussion, is what technology are we actually thinking about? During the sewage plant meeting, they showed the circular, I don't know what they're called, vats, whatever the sewage goes into. But there's other technologies that are also available. And I just don't know if those have really been considered. We haven't heard a lot of comment from the public officials. We've heard a lot of citizen comment on that. So in conclusion, your technology decision should drive the decision, because that'll determine how much land you need, where you can fit it, et cetera. And I do think that you need more time to ponder this, have a discussion about it. It should be as public as you can make it, because I think people, the good news is the community cares. They're out here, they're interested, they want to know what's going to happen. In terms of transparency, last 15 seconds, the city council meeting minutes, believe it or not, are not on the agenda center. Like if you go on the website for the agenda center, the agenda's there, the minutes aren't. And I was looking for them because I wanted to understand the history of what the discussions have been, and I couldn't find them. I had to go digging around in another area. For some reason they were there. So Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that you work with your team to maybe get those placed there, and there's just have better information sharing around all these topics. Transparency is what you need. So thank you.
There's two that want to come up, so, okay.
Michelle Collier, 453 Huntington Drive in the beautiful Farmington Woods subdivision. Moved here about 3.5 years ago with my husband to retire from Virginia, the hustle and bustle of the DC area, and came here to have a nice, quiet life. I agree with pretty much everything everyone here has said. I know it has to be built somewhere, but not in our backyard, not in any of these people's backyards, as a matter of fact, not just ours, not in anyone's backyard. I just have one question for you guys. Who on this board lives near site 13, 22, or 7?
22.
All of you guys? And where do you stand on the issue?
Still gathering information.
Thank you. Lady back here, come on up.
Hello, I was not planning on talking today either, so if you hear my heart racing, then I apologize. I'll use it to time how much time I have. Firstly, I just
name and address, please.
Oh yes, thank you. Shannon Saliga, 124 Pecca Drive in the Carver Creek community. So I just wanted to boil it down to a personal level, just so you all know the impact. I mean, everyone here is saying, you know, this is something that is affecting people's retirement, their livelihood, their dreams as a whole. This is something, you know, my husband and I, he grew up in Hendersonville. I've been out here for about 12 years, so I feel like I get the honorary, you know, Nashvilleian badge at this point. But, you know, this is something, we moved out to Lebanon about 2 years ago, almost 3, I think, at this point. And, you know, this is where we plan on growing old. When we purchased our house, we were like, this is it. Like, we're going to get wrinkly here. This is where it's happening. And, you know, we go on weekly dates downtown, right in the town square. We got married at the Capitol Theater. Like, this is a city that I truly love. We talk to our friends all the time who are looking for a place to settle down. Like, we have you know, it's the year of engagements, right? And so just getting to be able to have that respect and that love for a city is something that I've been able to pride myself on personally, and I know my husband feels the same. You know, I'm a super organized person. I love a plan. I have been planning monthly how we're improving our house. Every single month we come up with like 2 tasks to do. And, you know, this was just something that obviously none of us were expecting, especially with the expansion farther behind our houses. Like it really, truly just covers that whole street there. And it would just be, you know, such a dream killer for so many of us that have truly invested in this city and in our lives here. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll get you. We'll get you next.
Keep popping up.
Yeah.
And I'm Greg Gibson, and I live at 903 Larkspur Lane in Farmington Woods. I'm a little confused. We've got industrial areas, and then we've got residential areas. Why even consider a residential area? That makes no sense. That just baffles my mind unless there's some underlying motive behind that. I've retired out of the healthcare industry, and I knew what comes with chemicals and plants around folks. I'm from East Tennessee originally, so East Macodac. There's a lot of complications with those chemicals pumped up in the air. I've got an immune compromised granddaughter. I want her to come see me and be able to come into my home without any concern about long-term complications. So financial is one thing, but the human impact, when you've got industrial areas that you could put this, use the industrial areas you have and spare these folks and their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren the issues that can come from these chemicals and all this stuff that's going to be floating in the air. Please, this is not something that you can just flip a coin and say, hey, we're going to put it in this location. Look at the long-term impact. You got folks' lives at stake here. We've got to have water treatment. It's got to be here. But the concern is use the industrial site you have, TRW, off Hartman. There's all kinds of places there. Empty buildings. Put it on an industrial area, not in someone's backyard. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dana Tenbrink. I'm at 122 Pecker Drive in the Carver Creek community. I'm not standing here against Lebanon's growth, and I'm not against the wastewater infrastructure our growing city needs. I'm asking our leaders to make sure we grow responsibly. This should not be about Site 7 versus 13 or 22, or one neighborhood asking for this plant to be moved into someone else's backyard. We should be asking whether major wastewater infrastructure belongs next to established residential neighborhoods at all. For Site 13, our community's research identified approximately 286 homes within a half a mile of the proposed site and approximately 115 Carver Creek homes within a quarter mile. Those aren't just numbers on a map. Those are families. Those are people who invested their savings into their homes, people raising children, retirees, and residents who choose Lebanon because they believed in this community. Once a wastewater treatment plant is built, this decision cannot easily be undone. I'm asking the city to prioritize industrial zoned areas and locations designed for this type of infrastructure. With meaningful separation from established neighborhoods, if there are industrial areas or other appropriately zoned locations available, I believe those alternatives deserve to be fully explored before placing this type of infrastructure behind people's homes. I respectfully ask our city leaders before choosing any of these sites, please fully consider the proximity to homes, potential impacts on property values and quality of life, environmental concerns, and whether there are alternatives that create less impact on Lebanon residents. Growth is necessary, wastewater infrastructure is necessary, but responsible planning means putting this infrastructure in the right place and protecting the people who already call Lebanon home. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Derek Dodson, 106 Chapman Drive. I rest my case. We want the sewer plant to go in Gallatin, as I said from the very beginning. full disclosure, I spent my childhood summers nearly every day growing up across the creek from the current sewer plant. And as you folks know, I'm permanently brain damaged. This is my seventh, turns out to be my seventh sewer plant site meeting for three of you. This is your first. So this is what you're going to see. I'd like to revisit and finish my comments from the last city council meeting with regard to the $100,000 to the Expo Center. Personal reference, my uncle was one of the three folks who were responsible for buying what's now the James E. Ward Agricultural Center. And as a kid, I called James E. Ward Uncle Ward, although he really wasn't my uncle. In the year that a subset of county officials were trying to advance the then concept of an expo center, my position at the time was that such a center would not break even for many years and that the drivers of the expo center should tell the public the truth, and also that they thought the expo center would be an asset for the county worthy of the shorter term financial hurdles. But instead, that subset of county officials sought both silly and shady tactics to make it appear that an expo center was financially justified. The story of the advancement of the expo center into reality has some ugly documented facts attached, including by City Hall, including facts I would not want to announce in a public meeting. Thereby, the expo center deserved to have no financial reward contribution from the city. At the July 7th council meeting, Councilor Bryan made a solid case for discontinuing the annual $100,000 contribution, followed by Councilor Moorhead, who listed a few immediate financial needs of the city, and he did it again on July the 21st. I suggest you go back and read those minutes of Councilor Bryan, Councilor Moorhead. In the future, I will weigh in on that topic incessantly if necessary, and thereby disclosing why I didn't vote for the city budget. I say that tongue in cheek. Perhaps Lindsay's first brilliant move as the finance director was not paying this year that $100,000. The agenda packet tonight is 393 friggin' pages. Without the minutes, the last time I looked this afternoon, maybe they're there now. I could understand why they were missing. Anyway, whoever did all that work, that is incredibly impressive. Incredibly impressive. So if you haven't looked through that 393 pages, folks, go look, because it is something to behold.
Thank you.
John Langford, 152 Springfield Drive. First off, thank you for your service. As someone who is an individual that is in the community, I've been on Planning Commission. I'm currently on Industrial Development Board. And back in January, Planning Commission approved a new neighborhood where Site 22 was. One of the things that I asked during the Planning Commission was, what is the capacity of the current sewer system? And I was told 65%. Everything's fine. How did that change in 2 months? That's the one question that I want to know. And then another question, 2 of the 3 sites, I live smack dab in between them in Farmington Woods, where $1 million homes are. And there are going to be other $1 million homes on the new neighborhood that we, the Planning Commission that I was on, approved. How is that worse than a sewer plant? A sewer plant in a residential community. Tell me, how does that make sense? As City Commission, you also have the opportunity to use eminent domain. There is empty land right next to where the current sewer plant is. You've looked at Rockwood. Rockwood is a willing seller. Yet we are looking at communities where we are all going to be surrounded by sewer. What do you think that will do to our $1 million homes? That is a question that you need to answer. Because if our property value goes down, what else goes down? The property taxes. And we don't have the good property taxes, how can we pay for the growth that is going to come forward? Those are the things that unfortunately you are tasked with as the city council. I know it's a hard decision. Please do what is right for our communities and for this city, because growth is going to come. And one of the things that we've also looked at is if we do not fix this soon, also the growth will leave. And then what will we be left with? Those are the hard questions. I don't have all the answers. Please do not put this in Site 22 or Site 13. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's John Thurston. I live at 16 Melly Court, which is in Plantation South subdivision. My primary focus is on Site 22. I've done some background watching and listening, attended a lot of the planning meetings when that whole area was being promoted as a housing development. And if I remember correctly, because I went to some of those planning commissions, your own staff recommended against that annexation. Council approved it anyway. There were all kinds of real estate agents in here, builders in here, talking about the wonderful opportunity now to have employment, to build new homes, and to develop this area into wonderful living condition, living area. As of last night, the ownership of at least a piece of that property has not changed hands. I'm wondering who, in fact, you are dealing with on the 150 acres on the west side of the road. According to the county's information that I got yesterday, it is still in the hands of the original owner. So I have no idea whose property arrangements you're dealing with, but I think that needs to be part of the transparency. Are you going to build a sewer plant there, or are you going to build homes? You're going to generate income, or are you going to create further angst amongst the people who live in the area? I don't envy your position, but you've gotten yourselves into it, so have fun.
Anyone else? There's a lady behind you, sir. There's a lady who just got up. Let's let her go first then.
Bird. I live on the corner of Mockingbird and Oriole. Been there since 1982, raised two sons. They left in the morning after breakfast. They would chase crawdads, catch grasshoppers, and fish in the creek. Great place to raise children. It's not a place for a sewer plant. But yet on the backside of Oriole Drive is where one of the sites the city's considering for that. Two things. The people that are here, I guess some of them, most of them, don't contribute to that waste stream. We do contribute to your taxes. We buy clothing, we buy food, we buy gas in the city. But we don't vote for you. We can't. We don't vote against you or for you, either one. And what they said about property value is exactly right. Do you know there are 4 widows living in Rolling Hills? One of them lives adjacent to that site. 2 of them live across the street from it. Can you imagine what that's going to do to their property values? I ask you to consider that seriously. That sewer plant doesn't belong where there's families and homes and houses. Now, if it takes 3 years to build it, I'm probably not going to be here to worry about it. But the other people will. And it's not a fit place to put a sewer plant at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Yahola Kenoyer. I was born and raised in Lebanon, graduated from Lebanon High School. My mother taught right here at Castle Heights. I went away to college, and when I met my husband and we married, led our lives, we retired, and we decided to come back to my home to retire. I live at 202 Sagamore Drive in Farmington Woods. There's a creek right behind our house, which is the one evidently that wants to be used for this wastewater plant. But when we decided to come back here, I did not know I was going to come into this mess. I loved growing up here. I'm disappointed with the actions that have led to this. And I think from all of the people that have spoken, that a lot of trust in our leaders, city leaders, has been eroded. And I think you need to realize that you're here to represent the people. I'm not opposed to the wastewater plant. I know it has to be done. But I was also curious as to why on site 13, an area was added afterwards, after everything had been studied. It was added for extra acreage. That is the area that is in all the residential areas. New technology makes it possible to use strictly the Rockwood area, industrial area, or that and the old one. And I'm sorry, I know it's getting late, but I hear a lot about the Murfreesboro plant. That was in 2000. That's 25 years ago. Why are you basing your studies on technology that's that old? So much progress has been made since then. And this is a very emotional time for these families and these neighborhoods. That you need to consider exactly what you're doing, because everyone in all of Lebanon needs to know that they can be next in line for something like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? But we'll get you next. Okay.
My name is Rebecca Slocum. My husband William and I own 323 Carver Lane, which is right next door to the vacant lot that is in question about being involved with the new sewer plant. I ditto everything everybody has said, but what somebody has not said was, we ourselves, we have a garden, and it's within 100 foot of that property line that's open. We have neighbors who have chickens. We have a garden that is within 100 feet of that property line. If this new plant should spring a leak, or if it should not, and just the chemicals in the air, what's that going to do with the chickens? What's that going to do with our ground where we're planting vegetables and stuff to make our lunches and our dinners and our suppers? Everybody likes to eat, right? I just don't see it. You have all this industrial area around town, around in the country. Why do you want to make it in our city, in our neighborhoods, right next door? We also have on a slope in our property where all the rainwater comes down and it goes down a wash that's on our property. That backs up into our yard, where our yard kind of looks like a swamp area every time we have a bad rainstorm. If that plant should spring a leak, what's that going to do? That is going to cause a big problem. So if the council wants to go ahead and put a plant there, our desire to grow a garden will cease. I want to know whose house we can pick up the vegetables that we won't be able to grow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Freeman. I live at 403 Huntington Drive. And this is Lebanon. As you can see, everybody here is not here to say anything against the sewer treatment plant. They're saying they don't want it in our backyards. These are the people of Lebanon. You have all been voted in office. You are our spokespeople. These are the people telling you what it is that we want you and need you to do for us. Why are we not hearing from all of you? Who's going to stand up for the health issues that are at risk for your people of Lebanon, for everybody that is here? I love living in Lebanon. Lebanon is an incredible city. Keep Lebanon an incredible city. People talked about some of the city services. Lebanon is incredible. Why are we not hearing that, don't worry, we're not going to create a health hazard for our residents, for those who have voted us in office? Don't worry, we're Lebanon. We're going to lead all the other cities. How come we're not hearing we're bringing the best technology to solve this sewer issue? Who here has our back? You are supposed to be your spokesperson for all of us. Who's here representing our grandkids? Who's here representing the retired people here? Who's here? Who's going to have our back? Which one of you is going to speak up for the young families that have come here to build their family? Which of you can we count on you to make this right decision for us? We all understand that we need a sewer treatment plant, but we've also we've heard that you've been known about it for 15 years. Some of us are now in neighborhoods that were part of the development program, which now you want to put a sewer plant next to. Well, maybe you shouldn't have approved all those places because you knew you had a sewer plant to put in. But the bottom line is, here we are today. Who's going to stand up for us? Who's going to stand up for our grandkids, for you? This is going to be a forever plant. This is not something that can be changed in 5 years. Oh, it didn't work there. Too many problems. I really see so many problems for the city council with health issues, with people talk about real estate issues. But who here is going to be here for us, the people of Lebanon, who have voted all of you into office? You're our voice. You're hearing the voices of the people here in Lebanon. And I have a 22, but there's 13, there's 7. Now, we're all here for all of the sites in the neighborhoods. It does not belong in the neighborhood. It clearly doesn't. There's too many. Just forget about willing buyers and the money that's coming due from the federal government and all the other deals that are supposedly happening. It's about health. Health should be the number one issue. We should be hearing guarantees from you. We'll have the best sewer system, and we will not create a health hazard for our citizens because you would make us leave this wonderful city of Lebanon. Thank you for those of you who have been listening to paying attention to our comments tonight.
Anyone else?
I'm Angie Outson, and I live at 222 Suban Court. I don't think I could say anything more that everyone hasn't hit on tonight. Every single point I had, everybody's saying the same thing. I think what I want you to take away from tonight is we have filled this building with concern. We have had a complete lack of transparency from this council in decisions that affect everyone here, their livelihood, their health, and everything else that everyone spoke to tonight. I think what we're asking you is radical transparency going forward. We want to know that you have our best interests, you're representing us, and that we can make good decisions on growth for the future of the next 50, 60, 70 years. That's it for me. I'm really proud tonight. I think this started at the end of the last meeting on August 4th. A lot of us were blindsided by information. We've come together, and you've heard it all tonight. Please take heed of that and do something better in the future.
It's Brenda Beringer, and I live at 828 Brook Trail in beautiful Farmingwood subdivision, at least up until this point in time. We came here to retire and make this town our home forever until Jesus calls me home. And I believe that this town was the place that God actually did plant me, because I prayed about it a long time, because I saw your sign, eat, play, be a part of a growing community, be a part of a place where people want to let their children thrive. And now I have to worry about children smelling poop every day. I smell poop without having to go outside my house. Why do I want to stand in my backyard and be smelling this all the time? But even more importantly, I look at all of you and I see power. You and each and every one of you have the power to change what is happening. None of these sites should be in residential. You have industrial land. You have the power to make that happen. Money? Are you really going to let greed overcome all of these people? When I see power here, it's these people that gave it to you. And your future will all depend on what they decide to do. How are we going to sell our homes when that time comes and we need to? Our whole lives, 40 years, I worked in healthcare to provide for the home that I would like to send down to my children. Do you think they want to live in a poop plant? I don't think so. And none of these people do either. You've got land. You've all been voted in. Mayor Bell, when I came here, I saw the things that you did, and I was so excited about the progress you brought in this town. I commended you. But I'm struggling tonight because I just don't see the transparency here. So I'm going to leave you with the last thing that I know in my heart, and that is love your neighbor as you love yourself, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I know there's some people in the lobby who want to speak, so
Hi, I'm Catherine Isaacson. I live at 1800 Horn Springs Road. And for those that don't know, I'm Site 7. The entrance to Horn Springs would face my house. So like any logical person, I thought, what should I do? So I started a petition last week and met with my neighbors. We currently have 534 people, just word of mouth, that signed up in opposition to Site 7. So I'm going to read you a little excerpt from that, because I always tell my kids, if you have a problem, you need to speak up and use your voice. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So the proposed location extends far beyond the city limits and designated urban growth boundaries. This move by the city indicates an unsolicited expansion into areas that should remain protected from developments. Our rural setting, with its wide open spaces, peaceful retreats, face the risk of becoming an industrial zone, which would drastically alter the character of our community. Our site is zoned as rural residential. Instead, there's a location currently available in the industrial zone across from the current sewer plant. We urge the city to reconsider their plans and seek alternative sites for their sewage treatment facility that do not encroach upon rural residential zones. We believe that a solution exists that addresses the city's infrastructure needs without compromising the integrity of our community. We would also like to encourage the city to review newer technologies that are successfully being utilized in other cities. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Lacarte, and I live at 415 Huntington Drive in Lebanon, and I live in Farmington Woods. My husband and I moved here a year ago from California, and we chose Tennessee because we love the state, and we chose Lebanon because we fell in love with the city. Putting a water waste treatment plant in our neighborhood, I think is not the right decision. And one of the things I want to state, just for health reasons, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 30 years. I'm also a Navy veteran, and my husband is an Army veteran. If you remember, in California, there's a very famous movie called Erin Brockovich. If you all know that movie, there was a town, Hinckley, that was eventually, PG&E was sued for the health reasons. So I am wanting to remind the council that if a sewage plant were to go in a neighborhood and cause health issues, are you prepared for any lawsuits that may come your way? That particular, that settlement was $333 million. I just wanted to remind you of that. Thank you. I say no to Site 13, no to Site 22, and no to Site 7. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Houston. I live at 216 Subin Court. I live in the Carver Creek subdivision. I'm 8 houses down from Site 13 Plus. There are going to be hundreds of homes from Carver Creek, Carver Lane, Alhambra Drive, and Madrid Drive that will have the sewer plant hundreds of feet away from their homes. It will be visible from my living room. Talk about relaxing. A lot of us will have it in their front and backyards. We all bought a house in Lebanon for a reason. We understand a new sewer plant is needed, but please reconsider and not put it within established neighborhoods. There are a lot of us, like myself, that work from home and are concerned about the odor and health issues. Those of us that work at home will never get a break from it. We also don't want to give up getting to go outside during the warmer months because of odors. I know people will say just move, but that's easier said than done. I love where I live, and it breaks my heart thinking of a new plant possibly going in next to my home. Since finding out Carver Lane was added to Site 13, it has been a heartbreaking nightmare. Please consider removing Site 13 and all other residential sites from the list. You have industrial sites that can be used. Carver Creek started a petition a week ago, and we have 610 signatures as of a few minutes ago. If you're wondering why so many of us are wearing red today, it's because we're all banded together. None of us from any of these sites deserve to have this in their back or front yards. P.S. to the red Solo Cup person, you rock. If you know, you know.
Is there anyone else in the lobby? Okay. All right. Thank you. I can't see, so. Go ahead, right there at the podium. No, right there. No, you, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
My name's Randy Douglas. I'm a United Methodist pastor and retired here in Lebanon 6 years ago. My wife and I, Gail, moved here. We live on 314 Madrid Drive. which literally Site 13 is in our backyard. And there's a road that goes off the cul-de-sac past our house into Site 13. And it would be, we just want to let everybody know that we are opposed to the treatment plant being in our backyard, and all the other sites that have been, that people are opposed to here today. Please choose another site. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I hope my nerves don't lay down on me. We moved to Lebanon. I'm Gail Douglas. We live at 314 Madrid Drive. When you say that the Site 13 is in your backyard, it is in my backyard, literally in my backyard. We came before this council 5 years ago and protested about the apartments that we're going to go in, and it was pushed through. And then all of a sudden the work stops, and we had dynamite in our backyard, hitting our house, hitting our garage. And now they say that the plan went bankrupt. So Mayor Bell, I'm wondering, I've heard a rumor that you have family that is with the bank that owns the money that is due for the bankruptcy. If that's true, you need to excuse yourself on voting on this issue because you can't be fair.
It's not bankrupt.
It's not bankrupt? Okay. Well, whatever happened to it, it fell apart. And it seemed like it was poor planning then. And having this issue pushed through again, seems like it's poor planning again. Guys, we don't need a sewer plant in our backyard, in a residential area, when there's plenty of places here in town that is zoned for, what is it? Industrial use. And as a registered nurse, I'm just really concerned about the wastewater and all the environmental impacts, not only for us, but for our kids and our grandkids. That's going to be irreversible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Ackland Williams. I live at 398 Huntington Drive. I just believe that there is solidarity in numbers. I do not want any of the sewer plants or the wastewater treatment facilities near community neighborhoods. I am an immune compromised individual. Not only that, I am also an educator. If I get sick, and then I go to school, if I have to work, I think that's more spread of disease. I also speak with my family. My husband is a veteran. We've moved all different places. And to come back and ready to settle here, the things that my husband has seen, the things that we've had to endure just being in the military and going to various places, we'd like to enjoy kind of the fruits of our labor, the things that we work for. And I just don't think that the wastewater treatment facility in our neighborhood would be good for us or any of the communities around. Thank you.
Thank you.
How y'all doing? I don't really have anything prepared. It's funny though, I think I've learned a few things tonight. it seems as though I got a letter 5 years ago about a neighborhood going to be built behind my home. I live at 490 Plantation Boulevard. That didn't happen. And I think I understood a gentleman earlier to say, well, actually the neighborhood, they had contacted, I thought about a park of some kind. None of that happened. And now we're looking at a sewer system. I don't know anything about a sewer system really, except it's just below the gutter. And I can't imagine what that would do, as it's literally, Site 22 is literally in my backyard on the other side of the fence row. It makes me wonder why we're pushing that area so hard. And it does affect a lot of people. And I used to live on South Beckwith Road, 2000. They brought in Providence. Okay. We dealt with it because we had an escape route to the interstate. Then they started building neighborhoods on quarter-acre lots all the way around it. And by the time I got out of there, I got half of what that property was worth 6 years previous. And the people that bought it now, they're building 600 homes behind it that are all rental homes. And they're asking me, what do you do? And I said, just mow closer or further away from the fence row. You know, they want to take the fence row down, cut their privacy. So the other day, maybe some month ago, I get a reassessment on my property. Staggering, by the way. I didn't get a letter on the septic coming in, but I got a letter on the park and I got a letter on the neighborhood. Maybe I missed it in the mail. So they assessed my property for $250,000 more than a recent comp. And they say, well, that's good. Your property value's gone up. It hadn't gone up that much. And the property value's going up, that's good. No, it's not. If you sell your property, you make a lateral move. Big deal. You didn't benefit anything. And when I was down there debating what my property was worth with some comps that I'd gotten through some realtors, I told them one of the real problems I had, the data that they use, or the data, depending on where you're from, was that's what they use, data. Well, obviously, it's no good. You need to reassess your data.
Thank you.
Sir,
Your time's up. Thank you.
I meant to tell you, I'm acoustically challenged.
Sorry, but your time is up.
Okay,
All
well,
right, but we do need your name for the record, please. Need your name for the record.
for the record, everybody says this doesn't make any sense. My name, I thought didn't give it. Wilson Welshans, the deaf guy. from
Thank you.
Plantation
I
Day.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Doesn't make sense. Neither does thousands of multi-unit houses
Thank-
or car wash
thank you.
across the street from a car.
Thank you. Thank you.
Say the best for last, right? This has been going on for a while. We,
Name and
oh, I'm
address,
sorry,
please.
Philip Donnell, 914 Maple Hill Road. I know y'all know me. Some of y'all might not, but I'm next to Site 22. I'm just north. Site 22 is my aunt and uncle's part of the farm. But I guess really what I want to address is the potential for other sites. I was at most of the sewer committee meetings, and I'm going to have to throw Mr. Lane under the bus, because at the last meeting, he said he felt like there was more questions that were brought up that needed more investigation, that needed to really be looked into. And I kind of feel that's where we are. Jeff Baines was quoted in the newspaper saying, we were put in charge of trying to find sites, not technology. And so I did a Google search today, the most recent sewer treatment plant in the United States, and it came back from Greenfield, California. And I talked to the director of Public Works there today, and she was very forthcoming with information, and she connected me with the company that's doing the membrane bioreactors. And I don't know necessarily if that is something that would work here, but I think that we really need to at least check into that, find out if TDEC would approve it. There's still so many variables. You know, we had the matrix, and that was fine and dandy, and it got us down to 3 sites. But is that really, you know, the end all be all for what Lebanon needs moving forward? And it's going to be a heavy burden. And I realize that September 30th deadline is looming, but I think we just need to pay stupid tax on that. Let's just forget that and really talk to the community and work sessions. Let's not worry about that little bit of money, because in the long run, where we're going, we need to have a good fit for everybody. Thank you.
Anyone else?
One more, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Kelly Coble, 1695 Horn Springs Road. If you look around, everybody here is here for the same reason. We all live in a residential area that you want to put a sewer system in. It's curious to me that all the sites that were looked at, the 3 that remain, are all residential. I don't know what's going on there, but nobody wants that. We're all here for the same reason. And you, small group of people, hold all of our homes, our livelihoods, our futures in your hands. Do the right thing. Let's find a non-residential site, an industrial area. We've got to have one. There's got to be one industrial area in Lebanon that works. Do the right thing. Put yourself in our shoes, put yourself in our backyards, and do the right thing.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We're good. In the lobby, they're good.
Okay, they're going to the lobby. Okay. All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to my comments. And before I speak on the issue that everyone's been talking about, I do have one announcement to make. A few meetings ago, the city council approved a design review committee to a group of citizens who can look at building standards in the Hartman Drive overlay. And so tonight I'm going to announce 3 people to be members of that committee. The first one is Will Hager. Will Hager lives in Ward 3, and Will is a professional city planner. He works in the private sector now, but he's a big part of our community, and he's agreed to serve on that committee. So I appreciate Will for agreeing to do that. The second one is Casey Monet. She lives in Ward 4. Ward 4 is a neighborhood that borders the Hartman Drive overlay. And so I felt it was appropriate for her. She's in the design world and has worked in the construction world for a long time. And so I appreciate Casey. And the third member is Larry Mizell. Larry lives in Ward 1, and he is a retired city planner. He's worked in cities throughout the Southeast in that world and has a lot of expertise. So now I'm officially naming those 3 people to the design review committee. So I want to thank the city council for approving that. I want to thank Councilor Burnett for sponsoring. I think that's a very important committee for the future going forward. And I think a lot of great work will be done by that committee. Before I talk tonight on about the sewer plant, Steve Jones is here. He works for Water Management. He's a consultant. He's ex-official member of the Site Selection Committee. He's also a member of our Infrastructure Committee, which has played a role in this process as well. So, Steve, can you step up the podium? And after I ask Steve some questions, Steve's going to stay around. I have some comments, but if the council, if you have any questions when I'm finished, Steve's here as well. So Steve, there's been a lot of talk about technology. Can you talk about the operation of the plant, the functionality of it, and sort of how we got that point?
Yeah, so
So everybody keeps bringing up different technologies, and there are different technologies. But when we boil down what happens in a water reclamation facility, we utilize biological processes, and we feed those biological processes the incoming waste stream, and we add air to it. And that air allows the biology within these tanks to break these constituents down, BOD, ammonia, and other things that we have in there. There are ways that we can hold more biology in a tank. Sorry, I'm trying not to have an echo here. So there are ways that we can hold more biology in a tank. Membranes are one way. With a membrane system, you can hold up to about 10,000, what we refer to as mixed liquor. That's a measurement on how we tell what the solids concentration in a tank is. With the MBBR, which has been around since the 1980s, we can hold about 5,000 mixed liquor, down to the type of technology that's at the existing treatment plant now, which is about 2,500 to 3,000 mixed liquor. So with going with these type of technologies, you can get a smaller footprint for the aerobic portion of the treatment plant. With membranes, we can also eliminate things like clarifiers. But all of these things have a cost. And so our job as the consultants for the city of Lebanon is to help look at, I feel like, two things. Number one is reliability, always reliability, because everyone wants this plant to operate continuously 24/7, 365 days a year. And so having reliable technology is, in my opinion, the most important thing, because if the treatment plant stops working, where's this flow going to go? And so we look at reliability, and then we look at cost, because cost is the second factor that we look at, because this is ratepayer funds. This is the ratepayers of the city of Lebanon on the sewer system that have to pay for these treatment systems. And when I look at something like a membrane, for example, I've got a quote in my office right now for a membrane system. For the membrane system to replace the clarifiers, it's about twice the capital cost. The membranes also have a lifespan of 8 to 10 years. So whereas a clarifier has a motor in the center of it, probably get 40 years out of that motor, every 10 years we're going to replace membranes. If it already costs twice as much and then every 10 years we're replacing it, there's a significant cost there. So when we sit down with the utilities director and the plant management staff, and we go through this, and with the mayor and council, what we do is we lay out these different options. What's reliable? What does it cost? What's that end cost going to be on the ratepayers? And that's how we get to these decisions. We have looked at this technology. I have 14 different cost estimates that involve different combinations of technologies that can be utilized to build a treatment facility to support the continued growth of the city of Lebanon. While that information's not all been shared at the previous meetings talking about land, that is the information that we used to make the recommendations for minimum acreage, not only for what needs to be built today, but to accommodate future expansion and create a good buffer so that people don't back directly up to and look into a facility.
So with the operation plan, I know there's some indoor parts of it. So what is the indoor part?
So generally, in order to mitigate any odor concerns, we are going to enclose the headworks. So that's the initial location that all flow comes into from the collection system. And from there, we're going to all the anaerobic and anoxic basins. We're going to have those covered, and we're going to collect that air. And we're going to collect all of the air off of any solids processing facilities. And those are the tanks that generate the most odor concerns. And so we'll collect that air. We'll run those through combination scrubbers that use biological with a carbon cap on top of them to make sure that we mitigate odor concerns.
Now I have another question too. So as you know, there's been a lot of questions tonight about deep dive studies into properties and things like that. So what are the next steps? What, as far as studying properties, how long that takes, that process?
Yes, sir. So right now with the 3 properties that we've been asked to look further into, We're working with the city and waiting on getting right of access or right of entry to those properties so that we can do environmental site assessments, see what kind of material is possibly on a site, if it's in an industrial area especially, and do geotechnical investigation to see what kind of challenges there are. What's the depth of bedrock? Are there any sinkhole concerns or any challenges like that that need to be taken into account that would make it more difficult to build a facility or dictate where a facility would be located on a piece of property that would move it closer to a property line that's trying to be avoided.
Do you estimate that?
It'll be at least 90 days after we get right of entry. I talked to an environmental firm today that could do the geotechnical work, and by the time we have right of entry, it'll take them about 30 days to get mobilized and on site, a week to do the testing, and then they'll have to write their report and send it back to us. So right now, I wouldn't expect to have that until after the first of the year.
So anything is presented to council, they'll take for a work session to discuss anything going forward, because they need all the information they can possibly get. It takes 90 days. Okay. And that's a full, complete study of those properties and all aspects of land costs, everything you think of, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. You can go sit down. If other people have questions, I'm sure they'll ask. It's, sir, public comments, it's our turn talking. I understand that, ma'am, but it's still, it's our turn to talk. And I'm sure all of us have some things we want to say. So, the first thing I want to say is that, there are, as several said, there are 7 elected officials sitting back here. And I want to make sure everyone knows that there's no one back here this decision lightly. I can assure you that. Everyone back here takes this job seriously. They focus on all the issues of all aspects of every issue that we vote on up here. And this one obviously is a big issue. It's a big issue for us, and it's obviously an important issue for you. In fact, and I've said this several times publicly, and I'll say it again, and his name was mentioned earlier. Jeff Baines, who used to be our Commissioner of Public Works, he was over our utility department for 30 years. And he is served as chair of the Site Selection Committee. Not long after I took office, we sat down and he told me that this was something that we were going to face. And he said, it's the most important decision that you will make as a city, but it's also going to be the most controversial. The important part of it is, and several of you have spoken on this, but I do want to reiterate this. The plant we have now was built in 1963. And through those years, there have been upgrades to it. There have been, there has been work done on it. There's no doubt about that. But we're at a point where patching it up no longer works. And I know most people got up to the podium and said, that you understand that we need a new facility. And I appreciate that. But, I know people have reached out to me about growth, and somebody did send an email, I think to all of us, maybe it's all of us, maybe it's just to me, about leaks in our pipes and things like that. And we should focus on those areas first. But I want to repeat what Jeremiah Exum, he's our plant manager. He's not here tonight, but he said this at a previous meeting, that if tomorrow we said all building stops, no more buildings in Lebanon, and if we went out and fixed every pipe and every leak, which we work on them all the time, but if that was 100%, we would still need a new plant because it is basically too old. It is it's like any old piece of machinery, anything, anybody's business or anything else. It comes a point to where you just can't put enough money at it to make it work. At some point, you have to create something new, and that's where we are. But you know, I do want to talk about growth for a minute, and I want to brag on the council here and the work that they do. They take a really serious view of growth in this city, particularly residential growth. Over the past 6 years, they have voted to place over 30 new regulations on developers. Those regulations are designed to make whatever's built here better. But I can assure you, there's a lot of people who don't want to build those regulations and they go somewhere else. Just about a little less than a year ago, this council voted to tighten up our zoning code. Now, what's important about that is that every property inside our city has a zone, and every property owner has a right to build what that zone allows as long as they follow our regulations. And so what was important about tightening up that zoning code was we increased our regulations, we increased our guidelines. So even though they have the right to build and we can't stop them because they have that legal right, we can tighten up what's there. And this council did that. A really good way to control or manage growth is through looking hard at annexations. And I understand there was an annexation several months ago on Maple Road for a subdivision. But I want to say this council as a whole throughout the city has really taken a tight view of annexations, especially residential annexations. We've created an annexation committee, which is the first step that someone has to go to if they want to request annexation, which is a committee that takes that very seriously. Councilor Crowell serves on that committee as part of his role on the Planning Commission. And that's somebody that takes that seriously. There's a lot of steps somebody has to go through before they get to the point to even get to here. And a lot of times people don't even get here. But if they do, they have the right to be heard and they have the right for a decision to be made. And this council, you know, over the past several years, it has been rare to have an annexation for residential development. And I say that understanding there was one on Maple Road. I do realize that. But if you look at the entire picture, it has been rare. So I just want to say that, just you know, again, brag on the council, and also to make sure everybody understands that we take a very close eye on growth. That's something everyone takes very seriously. And again, I know that people spoke. You understand when you plant because of the age, but I do want to say that about growth and make sure that people realize what the council's view and how hard they work on that. But it's also controversial. And, you know, the controversial aspect of this is obviously where will a new facility go? And I didn't ask Steve this when he was standing at the podium, but, you know, very early on in the process, you know, he mentioned cost. He mentioned that, you know, that's the ratepayers that pay that cost, that we really have to watch out for this. That's part of our due diligence as well, that building on the site that we already have increases the cost significantly. So the process started to look for a site, and it's not something that started 3 months ago. It's something that's been going on for a while, and you know, and people ask about other sites, and so this is something we've talked about too. I've said publicly, I think other people here have as well. The pipeline that goes from our current plant that takes cleaned water out to the river goes northwest. It comes out next to the Sportsman's Club on Man Road. That's where the pipe comes out. There's a big sign out there on the lake that tells you that. And so when the consultant and staff start analyzing sites, it needs to be close to that pipeline. And so when you ask about direction, that's the direction that needs to be looked at. So when this process started, it started like for years. Infrastructure projects have happened here for a long time. The consultants and the staff, they started to look at sites, looking at the map, looking at potential locations and studying those locations and really digging into, as Steve said, property sizes, how close to the pipeline and different things like that. After they worked on that, they brought them to me and we talked about it. And so as we looked at different locations, one of the things that we came down to move forward, and this was, before anything came to council, but we decided this would be a good option moving forward, was to really focus on the Hartman Drive area. In my mind, I'm not an engineer. I thought the current plant's been there 63 years, that area. Let's put the plant somewhere in the same area, the new plant. So we looked at sites in that area. There were a few that stood out, and we had a work session and we presented properties to the work session, or to the city council in that work session. Two of the properties that stood out. One was at the corner of Hartman Drive and Coles Ferry Pike. The owners of that property, they quickly let us know if they were not willing to sell. And so we moved on to the next site that was discussed, and that site was Rockwood. Again, that area, the old plant is there, the infrastructure is there, the road, the pipe is there, in the area and all those things. So we went from the site where the people did not want to sell, and we went to Rockwood. Now I'll say this, when we're talking about Rockwood, there was not anything on Carver Lane, it was Rockwood. So why Rockwood? Well, a couple of things. It's a half mile from the current plant. It is industrial. The owners, I think was said earlier, is willing to sell. And we began to start that process. And so at that point, there was a resolution on the city council to create the site selection committee. And that resolution passed 5-1. And I want to say this: the night it was placed on the committee, I thought it was a great idea. And I thought it was a great idea for several reasons. One, the people who were recommended to be on the committee were all great people. There were engineers on that committee. There was a member there was a citizen, a private citizen on the committee. There were counselors on the committee, and this would give it new eyes. Again, we have been going through the process as we do with all of our infrastructure projects, and so this one, as important as it is, as important as you guys have all said it is, and as important as we know it is, having a committee look at it with different eyes, having public meetings, hearing from the public. For the past several months, the committee has heard from a lot of people, and I believe the committee has listened. to the people. And they worked hard, to do that. There was a matrix system that was created. They voted, looked at dozens of sites. And then the resolution that was introduced, it came down to where that committee would recommend to the city council at least 3 sites. And that's what that committee did. And again, the people in the committee worked hard. They did, and listened to a lot of people. They truly listened. I know they did. So there's 3 sites that are presented to city council. I want to say this, though, about the outcome. I don't know what the right word is, whether it's concern or disappointment, but a lot of people have mentioned Site 22 on Maypeel Road. That site was never previously considered. As we studied it internally, and never been considered. It was added to the list because a neighboring property owner stood at the podium and said it should be considered. I really don't think Site 22 should have been added to the list. I'm gonna go back to the Rockwood site. I also want to say that the apartment complex has the barbed wire or has the chain link fence around it, it had never been considered previously either. And personally, I don't think that should be added to the list either. I think if Rockwood was ever considered, I just don't think that property would need to be added to it. That's my personal opinion. So we're here. There's been a lot of hard work done. This council has done a lot of great work through the years on all kinds of different issues. The committee worked really hard. I just disagree with a couple of aspects of it, and those aspects of it. And going forward, as Steve just said, it's going to take 3 months to get property studied, council work session, before there's anything that happens, before anything gets on any kind of agenda to be voted on. But I do want to say this. Ultimately, the council's going to have to vote on something. I think most people in here said that a plant needs to be built. The council's got to vote on something. But I want to say this for me, and people, I know people sometimes get confused how it operates up here, but we have 6 city councilors. It takes 4 votes to approve anything. If someone's missing and something is 3 yeses and 2 nos, it doesn't pass. You have to have 4 yeses to pass anything. The only time I get to vote is if it's a tie. So if Site 22 gets on the agenda and it's a tie, I'm gonna vote no. If Site 13 gets on the agenda and the apartment property is attached to it and it's a 3-3 tie, I'm gonna vote no. But at some point, it's going to be built. And as I said earlier, everybody up here has to make hard decisions. And in those instances, for those 2 properties that were never considered previously, that's my decision. So thank you, Councilor Carmack.
I want to thank everybody for coming out and all those who have reached out to me. As most of us know, everybody came around the Maple Hill area. We had a development coming in, worked very hard on it, worked with a lot of the neighbors. Kelly was involved as well, and got the development passed in a nice development neighborhood. It was then added to the list because, again, someone had came up and said they wanted to add it to the list. If it is ever voted on or comes on an agenda, I will not vote for Site 22. I think it needs to be developed the way it was approved 8 months ago, what everyone thinks it was supposed to be. And I don't think we need to do it. For the individual that got up and added it to the list because he is the family of the said they was a willing seller, that was unfortunate. As far as site 13 plus or 13A and how that goes, I don't know that the city needs all of the property that goes back to the apartment complex. I've driven through Carver Creek several times, and it would literally be in some people's backyard. People on Madrid Drive, when I went in, it's going to be in their backyards, and especially Miss Douglas's. I've talked to her several times, even when the apartment complex was going in, and then it stopped and the fence went up. So I would only vote for the Rockwood property if it comes to that point. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilor Ashley.
I wanted to thank everyone for coming out as well. You know, obviously, we are here every other week, and a lot of times it's a different group of people with other concerns that impact their quality of life, their home values, and those type of things. So unfortunately, we get to deal with these type of issues. They're different issues, but, you know, we can draw a crowd at any given time because people are, you know, impacted by different issues. But we do appreciate you coming out and appreciate your comments. I was not part of the committee that was formed. I think the committee was an excellent idea. I think that this is the largest financial decision that the city has ever made, and it should be done with a group of experts. And I appreciate the people that participated in the committee. I appreciated their input. I appreciate their expertise. And I think that that was the right decision to form a committee, that none of us should be making these type of decisions single-handedly with limited information. So at this point, the committee has finished their process, and we understand that they're getting into each of these sites to look at the different sites. It has not come to the city council. I have no information whatsoever about the cost of any of these sites or what they found in any of the sites and what sites might be the most appropriate. But obviously recognize that this is an incredibly important decision, and it's going to take some time to get to the point that we can discuss it. And, you know, again, I understand the stress that this is causing on everybody, and I want everyone to feel assured that I think we all take this very seriously and are going to make the best decisions that we can.
Thank you, Councilor Burton.
Yes. Again, as they've already stated, and I state every time, that we love for our galley to be full, and we want to hear from people. We did establish a committee. I think that a lot of the informations and questions that you had here today were answered in some of those meetings. I will ask, are they not on, are the minutes not on?
Kristen, Tanya.
May have missed those. I did not realize that until Derek mentioned it, because it was.
So there's no minutes from the wastewater treatment plant on there?
I don't know.
No, the minutes of the wastewater treatment plant site selection committee are online on our website.
There's also YouTube, right? Or Facebook?
And they have been filmed on YouTube as well, so that should still be on YouTube.
So I would encourage, you know, everybody to read those, to look at those videos. All of those meetings were posted. They were posted in the newspaper. I believe that it has been a very transparent process, and, you know, open to the public and the meetings. Like Jerry just said, we have been giving no other information. I personally was on that committee, helped establish that committee. I know there were two others on that committee. But after that, we have not been told a work session. It looks like we're not going to worry about a deadline for the grant. Is that correct?
That is correct. With the timeline of the studies of the properties, as Steve said, it'll take at least 90 days. So that's no longer part of it.
We will be discussing, because we have talked a little bit about what kind of plant it could be. And I believe in those work sessions or the meetings that we had, what was put on there was a placeholder, was not necessarily what kind of plant we're going to have. It was a placeholder to hold that space of where it could be on all of the properties. And so I hope going forward, after we've done investigations and environmentals, as we've all talked, we will have work sessions which are open to the public. They are posted. There will be minutes. Hopefully, we will record them.
Allow me to add that on our work sessions, we don't typically put them on YouTube, but for these, we will.
Okay.
So people can watch them if they can't attend.
We will discuss, I hope, the different types of plants, like Steve did say, because we have to make a big financial decision. So I am sorry that you all are continuing to have to come up here and express your feelings. We are hearing you. We have listened. We're going to continue to do so. And it's a big decision, but we were elected to make these decisions, and sometimes we have to make very difficult ones. I believe each and every one of us do take it to heart, do the research, and I hope are being very transparent to you all as the people who elected us to be here. But again, I can't give any more information than whatever I have. And that's what I have at this time is we have 3 sites. I've got no other information, even myself, on that. Work sessions have not been posted. It sounds like it's going to be 90 days. So I guess that's what we'll wait to see. Again, we haven't discussed all the things that we've been accused of discussing other than what you have heard at the wastewater treatment plant committee meetings. I do encourage you to read those minutes. I do encourage you, because this has been going on for the last 3 or 4 months, and definitely it started back in March for us as a council. So I would encourage you all to keep looking at our website, to keep coming here and to getting the knowledge. I'm sorry that some of you all are just receiving information 4 weeks ago, but we are not sending letters to the whole city. We do have ways to communicate and ways we are required to communicate by state law. So usually the advertising is what, 2 weeks before a meeting, 10 days?
Tanya? Advertising for meetings is how far in advance? 10 days?
So you all should get notice on that. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Counselor Crowell?
Thank you, Mayor. As a representative of Ward 4, I just want to say that where you're sitting is exactly how I started as a city councilman. There was something that was coming in next to my house. We have a Century Farm out on Weevil Pike, and was not something that we wanted. And I didn't even know when the city council met when I first became engaged, but I found out when it met and came and expressed my opinion and tried to rally the neighbors and do the same things that you all are doing tonight. Ultimately, we didn't prevail in what we wanted, but I learned the process and learned how to advocate for our neighborhood and for people that live in my area, and became the elected representative for Ward 4. So you never know what coming to these meetings will turn into. But I appreciate you all being engaged in the process. This committee's been meeting for however many months now, and appreciate my fellow counselors for doing that, and the ones who have been involved on the committee. I think most of those people have been involved in the infrastructure committee. They were already on it, and already had been working on it for some period of time. So I hear the concerns about transparency, and I think that's always a concern, particularly for somebody who might not have known what was going on. Again, I've been in those shoes before, so I understand that, and I hear what you're saying. Believe me, I don't think there's any intent on anybody up here to hide anything or to not be transparent. It's a difficult decision, and somebody's not going to be happy, right? Everybody wants the city to be able to operate efficiently, and for us to, I think, to have a new plant, even if we didn't grow, we need to have a better plant than the one we have now, clearly. So we're going to get one, and we're going to hopefully put it in a location that serves the city as a whole better. And I just want to say too, the mayor mentioned my role on the SP and Annexation Committee. When I got involved with the council, the Planning Commission seemed like a place where, we do enough battle up here on the city council, and it seemed like a place where you were dealing with barbed wire and brass knuckles and whatever else on the Planning Commission. And I wasn't real interested in doing that, but there are a lot of things that come through the Planning Commission that don't make it to city council. There's a lot of things that, when we started the SP and Annexation Committee, that we've been able to effectively kill in the SP and Annexation Committee. So, I'm one of these. Our city is 42 square miles in a footprint. And I think generally that's enough. It needs to be something very compelling, and there needs to be a public benefit to the city of Lebanon to consider expanding it any further than it is. And people need to build what they say they're going to build. I'm a firm believer in that. It makes me very upset to find out that a builder has shifted gears on us. And so, that makes me angry, and I fight it. I fought it, and I've, almost to the point of getting the city sued because I believe that strongly in it. If somebody says they're going to build something a certain way, that's what they promised. They've come to all these meetings and drug all these folks out here and said that's what they're going to do. And then if they don't do it, they need to be held accountable. And if we can't stop them on that development because of a technicality, then we'll remember it the next go around. But I just wanted to make those comments. And again, I appreciate you all being engaged in the process. I know it's fatiguing and difficult. Again, I've been there on a different issue, but hang in there. It's important that you continue to stay alert as to what's going on. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Bryan.
Thank you, Mayor. There's one topic about the wastewater treatment facility that hadn't been brought up, and it's the fact that how much fun it is living next to a wastewater treatment facility. Because I live right next to one. I live right down the street from the current one. And I live in Weston Heights. And I've been living there 22 years next to the current wastewater treatment facility. Now, when we first moved there, now and then there were some issues. There were some odor issues. But like I say, I've been there 22 years. And over the years, they have corrected those issues. And as much as they could, upgraded, corrected. And to this point, there hasn't been any noticeable odors. I'm talking about for at least 10 years. Now that may seem funny to some of you, but I have experienced it. And I know that they have upgraded that plant as much as they possibly can. And that's why we need a new one. I drive by that plant several times a week because I have relatives that live out Hartman Drive on the other end. And when we first moved there, my granddaughter, who we raised, used to call it, there's the poop plant. But your concerns, I can understand that. I can understand if you're concerned about health issues, but I'm just saying for somebody, and our whole neighborhood would agree that as far as health concerns and odor and things like that, the new facility will be upgraded. It'll be a modern facility, and there is not going to be anywhere near what this current facility is. You're talking about a facility that was built in 1963, and I know that modern facilities are nowhere near the technology that it was in 1963. And you'll have to agree with that. They don't use the same technology. The new plant will have the new technology, and it'll be a vast improvement over what we have now. And for somebody that lives that close to the wastewater treatment facility, I have no complaints. And as far as property values go, I've never seen that on any kind of real estate estimate that I've ever had. I bought my house in, 22 years ago, whatever that adds up to be, 2003. That was never an issue. That was never brought up. And my house has increased in value quadruple since I've been there. So I think, your concerns are valid, but I just want to help you kind of put some of that to rest, that a lot of your concerns are, like I said, they're valid, but I haven't had the experience with living near the wastewater treatment facility plant that you are thinking is going to be your experience, if that makes sense. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Moorhead.
I want to thank y'all for coming. First comment I have is I didn't know it was Red Shirt Day. I think I looked pretty good in red. I would have worn one if I'd known that was the color of the day. I understand what all you folks are saying. The few folks over here that have talked about coming, that our grandparents and their kids are here and other grandkids are here. My wife and I moved to Lebanon in August of 2018. So we've only been here 8 years. And since then, my daughter has moved here with her husband, and she brought her granddaughter here and blessed us with a second granddaughter since she's been here. So when I sit here, any decision that I make, I want you to know, whether you believe it or not, I don't make these decisions what I think is best for me, because I'm knocking on the door of 70. I'm not going to be around here long enough. They're going to have a long-term effect. But my kids love this town. My grandchildren love this town. And whatever I do, I want to make sure I do that they want to be here another 50 years and they want to call this home. And hopefully we'll have great grandkids here before I pass. All I can tell you at this point, as far as what's going on, is we don't know what we don't know yet. And what I mean by that is that site selection committee was only formed to come up with a list of sites. The real work has to start as far as the costs, the different alternatives that are available, and present that to the council. We know nothing more than you know. So as far as being transparent, every one of those sewer selection committee meetings, I was on that committee. Those were all open to the public. Nobody's hidden anything. There have been no meetings beyond what was held in the public. We haven't gotten together. The council has not talked about this at all. And when we do get that information from Mr. Jones, which I understand now is a minimum of 90 days, because the council has not even voted yet to pass to give the right of assessment to get to those properties. So we're not even 90 days. We're probably more like 120, because he doesn't have the legal right to even approach those owners to be on that property. Until that passes 2 readings, that clock doesn't even start ticking yet. So if you want to continue to come twice a month until after the first year, I'd love to have you, because I think it's great having a full house. But anything that you ask us and anything that you throw at us, I'm not going to have a better answer until I hear what he has to say. And until we have work sessions, which are also open to the public, you'll know as much as we know, as fast as we know, if you attend those work sessions. We try to be very, very transparent, doing the best I can. I have no intentions of trying to do anything that isn't out in the open. Life's too short. And as a friend of mine said that I play golf with, you know, at our age, we're in the fourth quarter of the football game. So not time to screw up at this stage of the game, you know, just finish the game and be done with it. So should this have been started and looked at 15 years ago? Heck yeah, because if it had, I wouldn't have to deal with this at all today. But now that we have to deal with it, I am going to try to make the best choice that I can for the entire city of Lebanon and for the future generations within the city of Lebanon. I'm sure I've learned since I've been on this council, I don't care if I say the sky is blue, somebody's going to say it's green, or somebody's going to say it's yellow. So I know we're not going to make everybody 100% happy, but I truly believe everybody who sits up here will do what they believe is the best for the city, for the citizens today, and the citizens down the road. That's all I have.
Thank you. Before we go to the consent agenda, I do have a message from John, who's in the booth, who's a part of our IT department. He did say that the minutes are uploaded under the agenda center on our website. So they are there. John confirmed that. Ma'am. Ma'am, we're going to business now. We can talk about it after the meeting, but right now we're going to start voting. Okay, thank you. We have 6 items on the consent agenda. I'll read each one of those. Ordinance number 267451, second reading to approve a construction agreement with R.J. Coleman Railroad Company, Nashville and Eastern Railroad for railroad crossing improvements related to the grant-funded sidewalk project on North Casites Avenue by Chris Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning. I guess I'll wait.
What happens to the rest of the city?
Hell no. No, anywhere. Somebody owns the farm. Somebody owns the land.
We're in a meeting now. We'll talk to you after the meeting's over. Yep. Yep. Just hang out. We'll talk to you after the meeting's over.
Ted?
It must have been the smell.
All right. I'll start over the consent agenda. Ordinance number 267451, second reading to approve a construction agreement with R.J. Coleman Railroad Company, Nashville and Eastern Railroad for railroad crossing improvements related to the grant-funded sidewalk project on North Casites Avenue by Kristen Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning. Ordinance number 267452, second reading to approve bids and award contract for TDOT 3R sidewalk improvements project and to retain consultant engineering services TDOT PIN 12946-800 by Kristen Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning. Ordinance number 267453, second reading to authorize a budget amendment for the resurfacing of the South Hartman Drive Playground by William Porter, Parks and Recreation Director. Ordinance number 267454, second reading to authorize a budget amendment for the gas department for the emergency replacement of an air conditioning unit by Regina Santana, Utilities Director. Ordinance number 267455, second reading to cancel the regularly called city council meeting on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026 by Rick Bell, Mayor. Ordinance number 267456, second reading to amend Title IV of the Lebanon Municipal Code by Sylvia Reichel, HR Director.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Crowd. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now to old business. Ordinance number 267448, second reading to amend Title 14 to change permitted wall and fence design standards, replacing 14504D10, landscaping, screening, and buffering. Request by staff.
To approve.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Carmack, second by Counselor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance number 267449, second reading to amend Title 14 to change 14303 residential zoning districts accessory building tables, 14304A, RPI residential public institutional accessory building table, 14304B, UC University campus accessory building table, and 14.503 supplemental bulk regulations for accessory buildings to establish uniform standards for accessory buildings. Request by staff.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Crowell, second by Counselor Carmack. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now to new business. Ordinance number 267462, first reading to approve a TDOT local construction railroad agreements for the railroad crossing approaches project on West Main Street, SR 24, and South Maple Street, TDOT contract numbers CRR 070606 and CRR 070607. TDOT PIN numbers 135120 and 135122 by Kristen Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning, and Jake Pruitt, Capital Projects Manager.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Burdine. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance number 267463, first reading to approve a TDOT local agency project agreement for resurfacing of SR 10 from near Cedar Forest Road to near SR 24 state project number 95S010M3003, PIN 136334, agreement number 260119 by Kristen Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning, and Jake Pruitt, Capital Projects Manager.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Carmack, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance number 267464, first reading to amend the Lebanon Municipal Code Title 22 Stormwater, adopting a new stormwater credit manual, revising stormwater management requirements, and creating Chapter 3, establishing sinkhole regulations by Kristen Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning, and Maddie Neely, Engineering Services Director of Development.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Burdine. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance number 267465, first reading to approve bids or contract for the 2026 Sidewalk Improvements Project, CL26003, by Kristen Rice,
Motion to approve.
Executive Director of Engineering and Planning, and Jake Pruitt, Capital Projects Manager. Motion by Councilor Ashley, second by Councilor Crowell. Chris beat you to it.
Fine.
Any discussion?
No, Mayor, that was, Camille had made the motion to approve.
Sorry, I thought it was there. I'm sorry. Motion by Councilor Burdine. Second by Councilor Crowell. Sorry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You got me while I was still talking. I was having a hard time hearing. Ordinance number 267466 to approve budget amendments relative to the new refunding bond for radio communications bond and public safety bond by Lindsay Wolfenbarger, Finance Director.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Carmack, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262889 to approve contract with TDOT for the routine maintenance of state routes. Contractor Edison, registration IDs 1567 and contract number CMA 2734 by Lee Clark, Public Works Director.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Crowell, second by Councilor Bryan. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262893 to approve the aerial photography agreement with Near Map by Mike Collinsworth, MIS Director.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Carmack, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262894 to approve the research agreement with Vanderbilt University Medical Center for the Coach Program Partnership by Alex Major, Jimmy Floyd, Center Director.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Carmack, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262895 to authorize advertising for construction manager at risk services for Lebanon Sports Complex Phase 2 by Kristen Rice, Executive Director of Engineering and Planning, and Jake Pruitt, Capital Projects Manager.
Approve.
Second.
By Councilor Burdine, second by Councilor Carmack. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 2896 to accept bids for the wastewater treatment plant effluent pump station cleaning project by Regina Santana, Utilities Director.
Motion approved.
Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 2898 to approve an agreement WebEx calling migration for the MAS Department by Mike Collinsworth, MAS Director. Motion by Councilor Crowell, second by Councilor Moorhead. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 2899 to approve the professional services agreement for Omnia Software Solutions for the Stormwater Department by Brian Chemicki, Stormwater Coordinator, and Kristen Rice, Director of Engineering and Planning.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Crowell, second by Councilor Carmack. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262901 to approve an agreement with KCI Technologies for City Works Maintenance by Mike Collinsworth, MAS Director.
Second.
Crowell, second by Councilor Bryan. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262902 to approve an agreement with KCI Technologies for project management, ArcGIS Hub Web Application Support Maintenance, Monitor Configuration, and as-needed support by Mike Collinsworth, MAS Director.
Motion approved.
Second.
Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Bryan. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262903 to approve a professional service agreement for the 2026 gas rate study by Regina Santana, Utilities Director, and Lindsay Wolfenbarger, Finance Director.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Bryan, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion.
Yeah, Regina, can you clarify, because I can't remember, I've slept since then. Did we do a rate study for our sewer?
We have one that's underway for water and sewer. I would anticipate sometime later this fall, we'll have a work session. The company, which is the same company that we're hiring to do the gas portion of it, will come do a presentation. We've met with them virtually, a couple different meetings. They've needed additional information from us. We've asked them to look at some different things like cost of sewer, utility rates specifically for the sewer that goes out to the racetrack to be looked at differently, different things like that. So because just using that sewer, because it's the easiest one, it costs us more to maintain and operate that line than it does sewer that's right here in the city limits by the plant. So
Okay.
their rates should be a little different. So there's things they're still working on for us.
This fall, we'll get some more
Yeah, I would think-
information on.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262904 to approve the pipeline crossing license agreement, NERR 26029 with RJ Coleman Railroad Company, National Eastern Railroad Line by Regina Santana, Utilities Director.
Motion to approve.
That was
Motion by
me.
Councilor Bryan, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262905 to approve supplement number 2 to utility relocation contract number 8905 with TDOT related to sewer relocation for the Hartsel Pike widening project, PN 103200301, STP 14116950132211814, contract number 8905 by Regina Santana, Utilities Director.
Motion to approve.
By Councilor Carmack, second by Councilor Bryan. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262906 to approve supplement number 2 to utility relocation contract number 8904 with TDOT related to gas relocation for the Hartsel Pike widening project, PN 103200301, STP 14116950132211814.
Motion to approve.
Contract number 8904 by Regina Santana, Utilities Director. Motion by Councilor Carmack, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262907 to authorize an agreement with Clean Harbors Environmental Services, Inc. for placement of landscaping and fencing within the PUDE by Regina Santana.
Motion
Utilities
approved.
Second.
Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
Gina, could you talk to us a little bit about this? I don't know what PUDE is, and I doubt anybody else in the audience does as well. So,
It stands for Public Utility and Drainage Easement. We require easements around the perimeter of every lot that's built or subdivided. This one here just makes it clear that we're letting them put this fence and landscape and whatever's shown on their site plan in that easement. But should we ever need to access that easement and it has to be removed, it's at their cost, that we're not responsible for it or replacing it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262908 to accept bids for the racetrack pump station rehabilitation, project number CL26007, by Virginia Santana, Utilities Director. Motion by Councilor Crowell, second by Councilor Carmack. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262909, authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of general obligation interfund capital outlay notes in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $1,275,000 by Lindsay Wolfenbarger, Finance Director.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilor Moorhead, second by Councilor Crowell. Discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
See, that's big money. Could you talk to everybody about what that involves?
So these two resolutions are just steps in the process for the gas department to give us a little extra money while we do the gas rate study.
State that again. So we're taking some money out of the general fund and moving it
Help
to,
with some of the, to help with some things in the capital of the gas fund as we do the gas rate study.
so we didn't plan that before and in our budget?
It's just an additional, we haven't done a gas rate study since 2008. I mean, we haven't raised rates in gas since 2008, so it's just a part of the process.
So yeah, until we get that gas rate study done, this is something that Lindsay and I sat down and talked about we need to do, really, just to make sure that gas department, this will work until we get that gas rate done. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution number 262910, authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2 million in interfund gas system revenue anticipation notes to the city of Lebanon, Tennessee, by Lindsay Wolfenbarger, Finance Director.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Crowell, second by Councilor Bryan. Discussion.
Is this the same thing as the one before? It still has to do with the gas system. Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.